Hello, and welcome to my presentation on spiritual lessons from nature spirits and sacred sites by Starwalker. This is the third part of a three-part series on interactions with nature spirits and sacred sites. Part 1 was on how to connect with nature spirits and sacred sites. Here is a summary of what that video was about, saying that to connect, you need to have a pure intent, go with the flow, trust your intuition, be open to telepathically communicate with the nature spirits, and have a respectful and grateful attitude. The second part was a guided meditation on connecting with nature and the nature spirits. First, who am I? Who is Starwalker? I'm a shamanic practitioner, an Ascension teacher, and a Galactic Earth healer. This presentation is based upon years of personal experiences with nature spirits and sacred sites. This video tells some of the spiritual lessons I have learned from these experiences. But I first want to do an Ascension energy update. It is part of the Galactic Earth healing that I do, is asking a sacred site, one, if it would like to share its energy codes or information with me. And then second, if it would like me to share my energy codes that I am carrying from other sacred sites with it. And this is very important to help spread the high vibrations of light and energy among Earth's sacred ascension sites. Now there are three types of nature spirit or sacred site interactions. The first is where the nature spirit or site is strong and doing fine, and that's where you do not interfere with it, you just honor it. The second is where the nature spirit or the sacred site shares positive energies or information with you, and you just need to give thanks when it does that. The third is when a nature spirit or sacred site needs assistance, or if there is a spiritual mission to be done. And if there's a mission, you just follow what divine guidance asks you what to do. Here are going to be some examples of the first one where the nature spirit or sacred site is doing fine. This is the Bighorn Medicine Wheel in Wyoming. It is a very powerful indigenous sacred site. And the lesson was to show respect only and do not alter it. It's also a lesson in not letting your ego think that you can help a sacred site just because you think you can. This powerful site let me know that it was so powerful on its own that I was not to mess with it, but just honor it, which I did. Here's another example. This is a stump, a wooden stump in the desert outside Mesa, Arizona. And I call this wooden stump Little Guy because it could telepathically communicate with me. And it held high divine galactic energies. For the lesson was that objects in nature can have energy and consciousness. For this powerful spiritual energy looked like a typical dead tree stump. but yet it was anchoring in powerful galactic energies for Earth. And it was a lesson also that you cannot judge a book by its cover. Here's another one. It's the Papago Park that is in Phoenix, Arizona. And this portal holds Egyptian energies, with the lesson being that places in nature can be high vibration sacred sites. And from experiencing the energetic signature of Egyptian vibrations, because I was there in 1994, I knew and felt Egyptian energies at this location. And I have found that places that are human-made can hold powerful sacred energies. For example, the Egyptian pyramids are human-made, or perhaps they were made with galactic help. And here's another example. This is what I call Raven Wisdom at a rest stop in New Mexico. It was getting dusk, and there were no other people around, but pulled in, and there was a bunch of ravens that were standing on a corner wall just looking out at the valley and the sunset. And they telepathically said to me, humans don't take time to be grateful for nature's peace and beauty. Learn to appreciate the little things in nature, like a beautiful sunset, like we do. And the lesson is, nature spirits have a consciousness which can teach us if we will just listen. And ravens are one of my wonderful shamanic power animals, and I have had many interactions with them where they shared information or energies with me. And they also communicated with me on my spiritual journey to Chaco Canyon. Here's another one that I was out in the desert in Nevada, and I decided to start to energetically merge with the Joshua tree. And then it telepathically said to me, no, you humans should ask permission to merge with us. Now I am going to merge with your energy field. And it energetically merged into my body, and I felt painful tree needles poking my insides. And then as it left my body, I apologized to it for being so disrespectful of its personal space. For the lesson is that you always need to ask permission to energetically merge with nature spirits, for we need to honor all of creations and their boundaries. And also ask is, do we need to merge, or can we just telepathically communicate? Here's another one. This is a picture of a sacred blue stick from Sedona. I was at a sacred site and walking along, and this stick on the ground, it looked blue, and it asked to go home with me. And I noticed that when it was in sacred ceremony, it turned this blue color, but otherwise it was a gray color like you see on the other branches around it. And there's two lessons. The first is sacred nature objects can be magical, like being able to shift colors. And also, it's always good to ask permission to take any sacred objects from nature, unless they ask to go with you. And another time at a sacred site in Sedona, the whole hillside of brush turned a blue color. And I knew this was a signal that this was a sacred site spiritual phenomena. But I also knew and still know that I have to have and carry a high energy vibration so that I can even see it. There's another one where these were extraterrestrial beings in tree form outside in the country around Portland, Oregon. And they said that they were telepathically connecting and anchoring in high vibration galactic energies for the Earth. And the lesson was that humans are not the only higher vibration life forms in this universe. And I knew that these tree beings were holding galactic energies because of my past experience with galactic beings. For I have learned to recognize this energy signature of beings and objects. And here's another example of where a spirit or a site shares with you. And this was where a white wolf gave a shamanic power animal blessing to me, is that I saw a wild white wolf in Alaska. And years later, when I was really sick, I intuitively saw this white wolf appear beside my bed. And it then climbed up on the bed, and I could feel my stomach being pushed down with a weight, and yet this was an etheric spiritual wolf. And shortly after, I had a physical healing. And the lesson being that spiritual power animals can be helping spirits in our life. This type of positive power animal interaction is why I think shamanism is so beneficial. It helps you know and experience non-ordinary realities. There is so much more to our reality that can be experienced beyond just the human senses. And now here's some examples of when the spirit or the site receives input. This is the octopus tree, which is a sacred native tree on the Oregon coast at Cape Meares. And it is a sacred ceremonial native site about 250 to 300 years old, and it was featured in Ripley's Believe It or Not. And it has these giant tentacle-like branches. And Spirit had contacted me when I lived in the other city and had asked me to come to this tree to help clear the negative energy from this tree. And when I got there, the nature spirits and my spiritual guides helped me and guided me on how to do this energy clearing for this tree. So the lesson is some spirits of nature may ask for help and need our assistance. And to read a detailed account of what happened at this healing for the octopus tree, you could go to my blog on my website, wellness-energetics.com. And this story shares lots of valuable spiritual techniques and information about earth healing. Another example of where input is used is Spirit asked me to do galactic earth healing in England. And I went to sacred sites like Stonehenge, Avebury, the Hurler Stones, and St. Michael's Mound. And as Spirit guided, I cleared sites and anchored in new ascension energies. And the lesson was sacred sites may need our help as the human interface between heaven and earth and the galactic and the earth plane for new ascension upgrades. For this was a very special spiritual earth healing journey. And at Stonehenge, new ascension energies were anchored into Stonehenge from the blue star Rigel in the Orion constellation. And at other sacred sites, new ascension ley line energies were anchored there. And at this example, I was asked to go by Spirit to ancient stone and mound builder sites going from the northeast of the country over to Ohio. And along the way, I cleared and upgraded energies at the sacred sites and connected some to galactic and ancient Mayan energies. The lesson being to trust divine guidance to energetically upgrade sacred sites. For when you trust your intuition and higher spiritual guidance, magical things can happen at the sacred sites. The picture on the left was a stone marker at America's Stonehenge in New Hampshire. They figures about 4,000 years old, and it channeled information to me about its purpose. And on the right is the Serpent Mound effigy in Ohio, and I felt the serpent energy move under my hand when I placed my hand on the top of these grass ridges there. And here's another example. It's when I went to Mount Shasta, and I was guided to help shift ley lines and vortexes, and was able to connect with a Dhamma from Talos that lives inside Mount Shasta. And those beings are so loving and so peaceful. And these pictures were taken in two different sites. The first on the left was when I was heading on the road from the city going up the mountain. And the other one was from in the town looking at the mountain. And when I looked at the pictures, or looked with my eyes, I did not see that white column of light. But yet the camera saw it. So when I looked at my camera gallery, I was able to see these wonderful pictures that were on the phone. And so the lesson also is that amazing spiritual adventures and energetic raising of your own consciousness vibration can happen when you're on these sacred journeys. And here's the latest one when I was sent to Tucson, Arizona with the purpose of creating galactic ascension portals for this area. And you can see starting in the upper left where it says number 1, and then going clockwise is number 2, and then keep going, and it's a spiral that comes around, and the very bottom is number 6, is the mountains out of Green Valley. And in this process, it took 2.5 years. I worked with the mountains, nature, spirit energies, and also coordinated with galactic beings of light to open portals and vortexes and anchor in the high energies. And the lesson is, if you follow your soul mission, you can do wonderful earth healing light work. And this story is also in my blog on the website. I hope you have learned some interesting spiritual lessons from this video, or at least opened your awareness as to the existence of other dimensional and energetic realities which we can tap into. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to watch more videos like this. And if you need to check out the website, it's wellness-energetics.com. Blessings and namaste.